You might be wondering what makes me qualified to work on a Cadillac. Well, I dropped out of medical school, which makes me a doctor in New Jersey, so I think I know what I'm talking about. Hello guys, and welcome to the channel. Are you having any P codes with your Cadillac CTS with the 3-liter in it? Like P0300 and P0306. Well, it's most likely the spark plugs from what I read on the internet. So I went out and I bought 6 AC Delco premium professional grade platinum spark plugs, which were the best you could get on Rock Auto that were OEM. They are supposed to be pre-gapped to 0.050 or 50, and I will go through and check all of my spark plug gaps before I put them in. What I will be using for today's surgery, lost the scalpel, is a 5/8 socket, deep well, and an extension there, and there's a 10 mil that fell on the ground, and are also Milwaukee M impact driver. Remember, if you're going to use an impact driver, they are, motors in general, are softer than a potato chip. And a ratchet, a little L silicone paste for some good flavoring to put on top of the spark plugs to help with corrosion and all. This is not a how-to video. This is just going to be me blogging my experience working on the Cadillac. Interestingly enough, these spark plugs work on an H3 Hummer. So Cadillac's a Hummer. Who would have thought? It's also 20 degrees out in the garage, so you're going to be seeing my breath a lot. Also, guys, before you start this project, I also recommend unboxing all your spark plugs, and like I said, check the gap on them with a little spark plug gapper. You don't want one of these. They often get damaged in shipping, your spark plugs, so you don't want to take all of them out and figure out you got, oh, one of mine's broken in shipping or not gapped right, and you'll have the same problems if you didn't check all this stuff, and now you got to go recheck it, or you're going to go after other things and the problem's going to be spark plugs still because you didn't check the gap. So check your gap. Do not go by what they say online pre-gapped. Check it, make sure it's right. Part number for the spark plugs that I'm using today, and I will show you what we will be removing first. You do not have to take off the strut bar. This will come off, this, and this piece of plastic right here. There's 6 spark plugs. I'm going to replace all of them today, so we're going to put 6 spark plugs on it. And I'm probably not going to show you each spark plug I do, just the ones that I think are challenging and easy. It'll be like the best and the worst. That off, put your oil cap back on so you don't drop anything down there. I'm going to cooperate. That comes off. Walk across the camera. And this will come off right here. It is 20 degrees in here, so it's going to be a little more difficult than most. Probably don't recommend working on them in the cold that much, but you got to do what you got to do. Okay, so it looks like mine had some work done over the years here because they labeled for each cylinder. There's one, and there's one farther back here, right there. Are the 3 on that side, and then this one, and this one for the passenger side. Those are the coil packs. You want to make sure that your ignition is off so you don't shock yourself or anything. Like I said, not a how-to video. I'm just showing you how I'm going to do it. There's a little 10 mil you pull out that and unplug it. Spark plug first and pull it out. Okay, so as you can see, it's cold out. You gotta make do what you gotta do. All right, so it is pretty cold out, so you're gonna be pretty careful taking these clips off. Make sure the battery's disconnected, whatever you gotta do. And then we're gonna take that bolt up. This is a vacuum line right here. You could take that off, you don't wanna break it. However, I don't have to take stuff off. The job will just go that much faster. And sorry, there is your coil. This one was marked 1, probably cylinder 1. I think this vehicle before I bought it had the timing chain replaced on it, which is a good thing to not have to pay for. And then you put your 5/8 socket in there, give it a twisty twist. This is an aluminum motor, I believe, so you want to be careful with it. Okay, now I'm sure some of you are going, wow, that motor is running really bad. See if the camera will focus. A little bit of oil on it. A lot of oil on it, actually. It's a little burned. Not that bad. It is a Champion spark plug, so that's a pretty cheap one. Definitely we're putting way better stuff in there. It didn't look like it had any dielectrical grease on it either. Next thing I'm going to do is just roughly make sure they're the same length and nothing crazy. You do not want to drop this or drop anything down there for sure. Spark plug. This is where it'd be nice to actually have a spark plug wrench, but we'll make do. Just a little piece of rubber on there, all the differences. And it looks like it just starting. I always start it hand tight is what you want to do. I'm going to put a little bit of dielectrical grease on this coil here. Okay, well, I cut out the boring stuff. It was just a lot of turning because this is not a 5.0. And the spark, that's what happens when you work on cars when it's 20 degrees out. I would recommend undoing your vacuum line on the top of the motor here because mine just broke when I touched it. But anyways, we're going to torque that spark plug back down. I'll just go to the auto parts store and probably pick up a little hose here to put over it. Hose clamps. 5 to go. And now before we put the coil back on, you don't want to lose your bolt either. We're going to put a little bit of silicone paste on it. I'm just going to put a little bit in there, and that'll help it not want to corrode. You could also put a little bit on these connectors right here, but it doesn't look like it's trying to corrode or anything, so I'm not going to worry about it. And it'll just drop right in. Make sure it's on the spark plug. Pull up on a little bit. Make sure it just didn't loosely go on. And you will tighten that back down. Now, just that times 5. You guys probably can't see it, so you're looking at nothing for 20 seconds. But I'm going to go ahead and torque it back down, not with the impact, but with a ratchet. Okay, now that the coil is in, just reconnect it. And that one is good to go with only a minor headache. Okay guys, so this looks pretty bad, like you're gonna have to pull off the whole, that intake manifold or whatever. But you pull out the bolt, this is cylinder number 2, pull out the bolt all the way out of that one, pull it up a little bit, twist, and it should slide right on out. Little grabber. Okay, so I'm on the other side here. Nothing too exciting. This isn't going to be a super in-depth video. But I have one of the coils out. The good thing is to inspect the boots to make sure that they're not all dry rotted and ugly looking. This one looks pretty good actually. It's a little pushed down here from coming out, but overall it's pretty nice. Sorry about the heater noise, got too cold. Okay, so this is the cylinder number 6, I believe, which is the one all the way back on the driver's side. There's a vacuum line over here, where my finger is, that needs to come off, and then there's wiring over top of it. This is probably the second hardest one to do. Other than that, this is pretty uneventful. So guys, something pretty interesting. I don't know if you can see it or not, but code it was thrown for cylinder 6. This spark plug right here has a crack in it. You can see it right there. And I'm guessing that's what its problem was. It was a little jump in here. So these Champion spark plugs, look how much nicer this AC Delco one looks. Not sponsored or anything, but dang. Okay, that is all back together. And they are all in, minus the vacuum line that I still have to fix. All right. Unfortunately, my other color zip tie didn't go on because I'm proud of this repair. It was just a little bit fuel line that I used, slammed it over it, cut nice and neat now. All right guys, you hear that chiming? I have the key in the ignition. It is like 18 degrees in here. It's pretty cold even with the heater on. It doesn't do much, but let's see if it fires up. Runs pretty good. Give it some throttle twisties. Nice. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I do have it slightly jacked up. I'm not going underneath it, so The wood I'm okay with this time, but if you're going underneath it, you definitely want to put jack stands or something. And don't mention about all the salt this thing sees. Ugh. All right, so it's a couple days later. I think it's about 14 degrees out. Let's see what it says. 13 degrees. Let's start it up and see if it has a rough idle. Seems pretty good so far, put in gear. I would say that fixed it then, yeah, so the spark plugs were bad. Nice. All right, guys, last thing I want to talk about here is I'm not a professional mechanic. Yeah, the vacuum line did break, but I showed it on video. I showed my whole experience. Also, I didn't torque down any of these, the torque spec that I'm sure you can find online. You can do that if you want, but come on, it's a 14-year-old Cadillac, and I just didn't go crazy with it. Some of them were loose, though, when I pulled them out, so they had like oil coming out of there. You saw that first one I pulled out and showed. It's really not hard to do, in my experience. I've just done them. Not too bad. That vacuum line was about it. I showed you how I fixed it. The other thing I want to talk about is AC Delco. I'm not sponsored by them. I just use their spark plugs because I like it. So I just wanted to be clear on that. All right, guys, I'm not also going to put the cowling back on there because we're going to do an oil change. You have to pull the engine cowling off to do that anyways, but you can figure out how to put that back on. Like I said, this is a how-to video. I just wanted to make a short video to show my experience with it. So if you think I've done anything wrong, I'm sure we'll hear about it in the comments. Probably a million of them about it. But hey, thanks, guys.